Hugh, it's Ryan. I'm just out the front of your house in the car. I just thought I'd call before I walked in just to make sure that you're feeling all good. Just make sure you haven't got any weird coughs or temperatures or anything like that. I'm sure you're fine. I just read this weird article this morning that said that people whose name start with the letter H are 26% more likely to contract the virus. I'm not actually sure where that came from, that information, but it sounded credible. So, I just sort of give you a quick call before I come in because I am excited. I'm very excited, but it'd be just really cool if you just don't touch me, and I won't touch you, and don't even look at me. Actually, it's probably the safest thing right now. Don't look at me, and don't even really reference that I'm there. That would be fun. I mean, let's still have fun. Let's still have fun and do a really great app. I'm so excited to be back. Okay. Yeah, can you see me? Yeah. Oh, I can see you now. I'm waving at you now. Okay, I'm coming inside. Okay. Ooh, don't touch me.
To call back, press 22. To replay message, press 1.
We're all imperfect, and on this podcast, I'll be chatting with a variety of interesting people who are willing to make themselves vulnerable by sharing their own struggles and imperfections.
Then we'll discuss the invaluable takeaways we can all apply to our own imperfect lives.
I'm Hugh Van Kylenberg from the Resilience Project.
And I'm Ryan Shelton from My Mum. And this is The Imperfects.
Yep.
And
Does that sound all right, Josh?
That sounded good.
Okay.
Lovely. Beautiful walk-in robe.
Thank you. Probably more Penny's walk-in robe, really.
Where do you keep all your pillows?
Just to be clear, Josh put the pillows there to pad the walls. That's not where we... Is that the sound? Is that why? Okay, yeah. That's why they're there.
Hugh, it's a stunning walk-in robe.
Thank you.
Or WIR for anyone who's spent any time on realestate.com. It's a great little space. We are 1.6 meters apart, just to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
We're divided by a small table of hot cross buns, which you've kindly cooked.
Yes. Did you like them?
I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They'll be cold.
Do take it personally. Yeah, actually do take it personally. I'm not touching anything.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that. So the world's changed dramatically since, I was going to say since our last podcast, but since I last saw you, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't seen each other for a little while. We've spoken. But it's good to be back on the microphones again, even if it is in your closet. What a life-changing situation.
What do you call it? Do you call it COVID-19 or Corona?
Corona.
Yeah, I do too. I kind of feel like I'm not cool. I don't think I'm cool enough to call it COVID-19. It's such a cool name for such an awful thing.
I think people who are calling it the virus, it sounds like they're in a film.
Yeah,
like the virus, when the virus took hold.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Like it's dramatic.
I did a radio thing yesterday morning, and I've been saying Corona the whole time because I don't feel cool enough to say COVID-19, and I was about to call it the night before. I'd read that it is a coronavirus. We've had many coronaviruses before, so because I was on radio, I thought I'd better get it right, and I was about to say COVID-19, but I was like, I'm not cool enough, and so I called it Corona-19.
Corona-19.
Which they didn't pull me up on, which is nice. But
I feel like there's been a real lack of. I mean, of course, there have been greater issues than this to talk about, of course. But I feel like there's been a real lack of reference to the beer Corona.
Well, how are they going?
I can't imagine great.
Who's buying Coronas?
I mean, but like there's nothing, like I would buy Corona. Not that I'm necessarily a usual Corona customer, but there's never been a bigger time for Corona beer. And it's obviously not for good reason, and it's a saddening thing. But I wonder what they are talking about. Like, surely they've had meetings about marketing opportunities, and which have been shot down immediately. But I wonder how far up the chain those ideas have gone, and how close they were to, from a place you'd rather be more than ever. I wonder if they have had those discussions.
I've actually spent a fair bit of time wondering about what their boardroom meetings look like right now.
Yeah, I have as well.
Like, do they change their branding just to have coronavirus things all over the box?
I mean, I feel like they have a responsibility to tell the world what's going on in Corona headquarters. But the reason we're doing this podcast, this is a different podcast than we would normally do. We've, if this is the first time you're tuning in to our podcast, thank you so much. But in the first season of the podcast, we had interviews with a bunch of different, amazing people who opened up, made themselves vulnerable, and told them about what their life is really like and not being as perfect as it seems. And we will continue to do that in season 2, which is exciting when we can operate more normally. But for now, you had a great idea on what we could do in the interim. Yeah,
well, we've had at the Resilience Project, myself and Martin, the other speaker, we've had, I think it's like 130 odd gigs or talks cancelled in the next few months.
130?
Yeah, we do so many and a week, and we just had everyone
130 a week. Wow. That's a huge...
It feels like it sometimes. It definitely feels like it.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of people sort of saying we still need the message more than ever right now, which I totally agree with. And
100%, yeah.
And we've been scrambling to work out what we do, webinars or whatever it is. And then this
First time you've used the word webinar?
I've used it a bit recently, but before that, absolutely.
It's rarely a word that you say out loud, isn't it? You see it written a lot, but saying webinar...
So much so that I keep forgetting what it's called. When I have to say it, I go online talking.
I mean, you said it with such ease.
Thank you. Well, I've said it a lot recently.
It's very impressive. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's all right. No, well, I'm doing one later this afternoon for ironically for a beer company, not Corona.
Yep.
But it's the first time we're doing. But we had a lot of people contacting us saying, I mean, we're the public shows or public talks are coming up. So cancelled. Well, not sorry, we didn't cancel. We rescheduled the Melbourne one, which was 2,500 people.
Yeah.
And Geelong, then Sydney, then Adelaide all had to reschedule. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, that's fine. We're happy to go at the later date, but we actually need the message now. Mm-hmm. And so, we were chatting the other day and I thought, well, would you mind me sort of hijacking this podcast just to do, it won't be too long, but maybe just sort of 20 minutes on maybe some of the stuff that we can be doing right now to look after ourselves, because I think this stuff has never, ever been more important or relevant, or certainly not in my lifetime.
Oh, well, I mean, I've been lucky enough to come and see one of your talks and I've read your book. And the message that you're about to sort of go into, and what I imagine will be a very sort of simplified version of what you do at your talks. But I agree. It's like people are kind of, I think, searching for some sort of, I guess it's hope or some sort of practical application that they can use at home in a time where they can't leave the house. They've got things, whether it's like business is going badly or ending, or they've lost their job or whatever it is. It may, if you've never done any sort of mindfulness or anything before, I think from my point of view, I think what you do and the way that you describe it is a way that anyone can get on board with. And I was excited when you suggested it, because I think it's a great thing for everyone.
Yeah. So kind of hard to know where to start in a format like this, but there's a lady called Dr. Karen Revick, and she has these 7 steps towards being more resilient.
Do you want to walk out of the room and I should introduce you when you walk in and I'll applaud? Because how much do you want to replicate the actual talks?
I would love to do that.
Okay.
Come into a big applause.
Yeah, I'll try and replicate 2,500 people. Actually, Josh, if we just record me clapping 2,500 different ways and then just layer them up, it should work. We'll do it in post. Okay.
Josh is just, for everyone listening, which is everyone who's listening.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Professional broadcast.
I've done this before. Josh is just sitting on my bedroom floor around the corner looking like a naughty schoolboy. Yeah, he's crossing his legs, yeah.
Your legs should be 1.5 meters apart from each other, Josh.
By the way, I'm very impressed with the measures you've gone to since entering our house to use paper toweling to open the door.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, I'm very conscious about going into other people's houses at the moment.
Yeah, great.
Because we all should be. But yeah, I'm sort of, I think I'm still a week away from the face mask and the gloves. Like that's sort of a slow transition for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be in a hazmat suit in a few weeks' time, but I just need just like baby steps. So paper toweling for now, and sanitizing a lot, washing hands a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, this is probably all very relevant.
No, What was I saying? Oh, that's right. Dr. Karen Revick talks about 7 steps towards being more resilient, and one of them is hope. And I think that's what a lot of us are struggling with right now as we turn on the news. I heard Penny saying to you before when you first came in, I keep scrolling through my newsfeed just looking for something positive, and that's why it's so demoralising at the moment because we don't get it. I have been through all types of sort of emotions with this, as has everyone, from being someone who originally was thinking, my cricket team finished on top of the ladder. What? The season's been cancelled? That can't happen.
Yeah.
To that's really annoying. To that's really inconvenient. To then it was kind of a bit more serious, and then it was, oh my gosh, talks are being cancelled. Oh my gosh, not just a month of talks, but 2 or 3 months, and oh my gosh, I got 10 staff to pay, and to now I feel in a really good place right now, because I know it's going to be really hard. And there's going to be some awful stuff that happens and tragic stuff, but we're going to get through it. Like as a society, we will get through this. And I don't know if it's 3 months or 6 months or a year, whatever it is, but we will get through it. And adversity builds resilience. And what an incredible thing to have the whole world building resilience together. Like I remember going to the football last season. I took Benji along, and it was his first time at the footy. He was 2.5 years old, and we walked in there, and Tip and Woody, it was Port Adelaide versus Essendon, and Tip and Woody took a hanger, and the whole crowd erupted, and Benji cried, and we went home straight away. So we weren't there for long, but in that trip to the football, I saw 2 people fighting, like arguing on the train over something. It was really minor, and I saw 2 taxi drivers having a shouting match outside the ground. And then we walked into the ground, I saw a whole lot of people yelling and screaming at each other. I remember I was just so aware of it because of Benji, and I was on the train going home with him, and I was thinking to myself, there are so many signs that things aren't quite right in the world right now. And I think those kind of things, when we get through this, which we absolutely will, eventually, those things, I kind of think we will be a lot more united in those things. I mean, imagine how exciting it'll be to go to the football again and have a packed house whenever that is. You have so much. If you go to the football and you're yelling for your team and someone else is yelling for that, you have so much in common with that person.
Yeah.
Yet there's so much anger in us these days that we can so easily ball over into an argument with someone we don't know who's doing the exact same thing as us. And I can't help but feel like when we get through this, we're going to be a lot more united community. I hope anyway.
Yeah. God, that would be a great silver lining.
Yeah, wouldn't it? But it feels like a long way off at the moment.
Yeah. And it's hard to know what to really focus on at the moment. It's as everything, no one knows what's going to happen. So everyone's sort of doing the best they can, I guess. And we don't know where it's going to go. So while there are times where you're scrolling, you're reading The Guardian, or you're just getting all the latest news, and it's grim, and there are people making bad decisions, and then like people on Instagram complaining about what they consider to be bad decisions, and there's so much confusion. It is hard to kind of have your eye on the prize at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel. So at the moment, we're just like scampering for lights in the middle of the tunnel. Like, yes, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but where are all I just need a little bits of hope. And that's what Penny said before when I was talking to her. She was like, it's like, I'm addicted to looking at the news because probably something inside of me is just hoping that there'll be a little bit of good news somewhere, like a little bit of, I checked my back pocket and the vaccine was in there. So all good, guys. Or whatever it is.
It's at Chemist Warehouse now.
Yeah, exactly. Gina Liano presents the vaccine. I'm sort of not sure whether you can joke about that yet, but
I think you can. I think you can.
Phil, you would know. So the thing that the main principles of what you deliver in your talks, I think, are so important. And if they were important 4 months ago, they're vital now.
Yeah. And I should probably preface all this by saying I know that some people are going through unbelievably difficult stuff, whether it's losing a loved one or whether it's losing your livelihood. That's unbelievably challenging. So I'm not taking away from any of that, and I acknowledge that, and I can't even imagine how hard that is for those people. So, in fact, it's probably a good place to start is with the mental health spectrum, which I've mentioned before on this podcast, but I want to start there again because just to remind, or for those people who haven't listened to the other episodes, we are all on the mental health spectrum. I had a psychologist friend the other day call it a happy scale to me. She said, yeah, we're all on the happy scale, which goes from +5 down to -5. Were you about to cough then?
No, I knew I was going to burp.
Oh, okay.
And so I moved away from the microphone and into my elbow. And it was less of a burp than I was expecting. So false alarm, but worth picking up on. I'll try not to make any movements from now on.
I thought you were going to cough. I was going to exit the. I was going to leave you to the walk-in robe all to yourself.
Right. Yeah. No. I'll be in here for 2 weeks.
Plenty of clothes to try on.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful fur jacket thing that Penny's got, which I wouldn't mind trying once you're all left. So the happy
so
scale.
we're all on the happy scale, so which ranges from +5 down to -5. So top end of the mental health spectrum is called flourishing. Life's great, things are going really well. You feel lots of joy, positive emotion. Work your way down the scale. If you're a +1, +2, things are going okay for you. 0 is where you have no signs of mental illness whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone stopped you in a very honest moment and said, "Are you happy? Are you a happy person right now?" Your very honest answer to that has to be, "No, I'm not happy right now."
So that's a 0.
Yeah. So, but there's no symptoms of mental illness there. You're just not a happy person.
Okay.
Then we work our way down the spectrum into the negatives, and we have. I'm doing this very quickly, but things like -1 might be, bouts of, small sort of, well, I suppose light symptoms of depression, anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
-3 could be things like hard to go to bed, depression or panic attacks daily. And -4, -5 is where we have people who end up in hospital with mental illness. So we're all on there somewhere. And the really, I suppose, pertinent thing to mention at this point is that we're all on there. And when trauma strikes, so that could be losing a loved one, it could be a serious illness in the family, it could be losing a job, it could be any abuse you might have been the victim of, or any of that kind of stuff. What happens is you drop down the mental health spectrum. And that is totally normal. It's a totally normal response to trauma. Or it could be a global pandemic, could be causing the trauma.
So there's a lot of people right now below 0.
Well, who have dropped down the mental health spectrum. If you think about it, I've felt that effect absolutely.
Totally. Yep.
In fact, one of the ways it reminds me, the feeling I've had last week reminds me of I've been quite lucky. I haven't had too much trauma in my life, but when I was about 28, I had a couple of things go wrong, and I have been taken back to the memory of when that all happened when I was 28, so 11 years ago. I would wake up in the morning, and for about 5 to 10 seconds, I'd forgotten them, and I'd just wake up and go, "All right, what day is it? Okay," and then I remember them. That what was happening in my life, and I felt this sinking feeling in my chest and this sick feeling in my gut. I kind of had that last week when I'd wake up and go, what's happening?
Same.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I remember what's happening to the world, and I go, and I feel that kind of.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, well, that's probably me dropping down the mental health spectrum a little bit.
Wow.
And so
that's something that, so if you do feel, because I'm exactly the same. Like in the last week or two, there are moments where you find yourself doing something else, and you can distract yourself, even if it's for a minute or two, by doing whatever you're doing. And then you open your phone, as we tend to do, obsessively, and you check the news because it's like, oh, well, what's the latest instructions or updates? And then you're reminded of it, and then you're back.
Yeah, and that awful feeling. Yeah. So that's for me. I mean, I've never had a psychologist say to me, that's exactly what it feels like. But for me, that's what it reminds me of the last time I went through trauma, of that sinking feeling. And so, but the thing because when I had that realization, I was thinking, gosh, this is what it was like 11 years ago for me when I went through all this other stuff. And particularly feeling it with 2 young kids as well. So, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. But then I sort of realized that every single day of my life for the last 10 years, I've got up and told people what they can do to make sure when something goes wrong, not if, when something goes wrong in your life, you don't drop as far down the mental health spectrum. And I thought, well, am I doing those things? And the answer was no, I wasn't. I was sort of not sulking. I was trying to be really positive around my family, but I wasn't actually stopping and taking time to do the things, the little practical things you can do every day that make sure you don't drop as far down the spectrum and you bounce back quicker. And those of you who are all over the Resilience Project will know the 3 things we talk about are gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. So I thought today I could give a quick little description of what those things look like and then how you practice them. So just what I want people today who listen today, I want them to come away from today with...
That was a throat clear.
Okay. You sure?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yes, I'm sure. What's this trapdoor?
So people listening today, I want them to walk away with practical things they can do every single day that'll help to make them feel happier and to help them with their mental health.
Awesome.
I genuinely feel like it's never been this important before. So, and it won't just be gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. They're the things we talk about. There are other things you can do, which I want to talk about today as well, which I think you almost need to have a checklist of that you're just ticking them off every single day. Because as soon as this thing got serious about a week and a bit ago, well, for us in our lives anyway, I stopped doing all the stuff that I usually do.
Yeah.
And so I can't completely blame Corona-19. I need to take some of the blame myself as well for stopping doing all the stuff we know that makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Does that work if we do it that way?
Yeah. I love
cool.
it.
Okay, cool.
Great idea. Let's go. All right, should we start recording now?
Yeah. That is a massive intro.
I thought we were just chatting about what we're going to do. Okay.
So if we start with gratitude, we'll go gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness, because what people, not me, people who are far more intelligent than me have sort of given our work the acronym GEM. So doing GEM, gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. So gratitude, the ability to pay attention to what you've got, not to worry about what you don't have. So many of us are having so much taken away from us right now. And so that's what we're focusing on, the things that we can't do, the things that have been removed from our lives. And when you focus on that, it is very hard to feel happy and to feel positive emotion. So when you practice gratitude, what you do is you actually pay attention to the good things. You actually scan the world for the good things that are happening. Now, gratitude also allows you perspective as well. And I think perspective is really important, because our grandparents were asked to go and fight wars, and others were asked to stay home, and for all the reasons around safety. But they didn't have internet. They didn't have Netflix. They didn't have all the stuff that we've got. They had
Netflix, but it was all black and white.
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, that's all. They had like 100 films to watch. It was grim.
So we have got so much still. One of the problems is, we've talked about it before, the if and then model of happiness. If I buy this car, then I feel happy. If I buy this iPad, then I feel happy. If I get this promotion, then I feel happy. Gratitude is where happiness comes from, not if I get this. And we have so much in our lives. Yes, a lot has been taken away from us, and some really important stuff like livelihood, all that kind of stuff. But the research says if you spend time at the end of every single day writing down 3 things that went well for you, that's it. You just record 3 things that went well for you on a piece of paper, in your phone, right on the shower screen door, however you want to do it. If you do that, what happens is you rewire your brain to start scanning the world for the positives. Yeah. And it can take a couple of weeks, but you'll notice yourself looking around for good moments, looking around for good things that pop up every single day. You pay attention to them, and it makes you feel happier.
I got it. I mean, I've after I went to your talk, the Resilience Project talk, I bought one of your diaries, one of the gratitude journals.
Yeah.
And I still fill it in. I'm up to like day. I mean, I've missed a bunch of days, but I'm up to like day 220 or something like that.
Is that so?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, every night before I go to bed, I'll write in it, fill it out. And I mean, I don't know if you guys I'm assuming you guys are still selling those.
Yes, yeah. Yes, everyone, we're definitely still selling them. Please buy them.
But I mean, like you say, like just writing the 3 things is great. But the good thing about that journal, and I didn't intend this to be like a plug or a thing.
Keep going.
But it is really helpful as a prompt, because each day there are different types of questions, and it does just, you have it next to your bed, and it just forces you to focus on those things. And it's amazing how much that helps, because you can have as everyone probably can relate to, you can have the best day. 5 things can go great, and then something kind of bad or disappointing, or you get some bad news at the end of the day, and you go to bed with this sort of heavy heart or this sort of like heavy weight on your shoulders, and it undoes all this great stuff that happened. So having like a prompt, a book that you can write in, or whether it is just remembering to write the 3 things, it's amazing the feeling of going to bed going, oh, actually today was a good day on balance.
Yeah.
Like that was great. I'm grateful for that person. It's amazingly powerful. For me, it has been.
Yeah, thank you. And it's so for those of you who, if you're doing a journal and you're able to financially go ahead and do that, resilienceproject.com.au.
Yeah, what are they, like $150 each?
We'll do free shipping. But for those of you who are doing it tough right now and thinking, I can't spend more money, I totally understand. What you'll need to do is just grab a piece of paper and a pen and record 3 things that went well for you. And I'd also add one to that at the moment, which is really important, which is to write something what are you looking forward to most about the next day?
That's a good one.
Because for us right now, we've all the things the activities I love doing, whether it's running or with the group that I run with, or whether it's work, which I love doing, all taken away from me. So I go to bed at night going, well, that's the other thing I think people are finding hard is we don't have much to look forward to at the moment.
Yeah.
I had so much I couldn't wait for this year. And I think having things to look forward to is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So create little things that you are looking forward to the next day, if it's in the house with your family.
Yeah.
The other night, there was one episode of Bluey I realised I hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lying in bed with Benji and I was saying to Benji, we do this thing where I say, what's your favourite thing that happened today? That's how he's 3. And he'll tell me his favourite. Then when I say my favourite, he says, no, that's my favourite, which is fine. But and then I was thinking, what I'm looking forward to most tomorrow. And sometimes you've got to pick small things. And so I was thinking, well, there's one episode of Bluey that I haven't seen, and I get to see that tomorrow with Benji, and I can't wait. He loves it so much. In fact, your best mate was in it.
Oh, Hamish's one.
Yeah. Very good.
I haven't seen that one yet, actually. That's the Hammer Bun. Hammer Bun?
Yeah, terrific. Yeah, he does a thing about a pink flamingo, which is very funny. But
right.
we were watching that, and I woke up in the morning. What I look forward to, I get to watch Bluey with Benji. So the two things are, what are 3 things went well for me today, and what am I looking forward to most about tomorrow? And they're going to be different to what they were 2 months ago. It might have been dinner with all your friends that you're looking forward to. Now it's going to be small things like walk around the block with the kids, or it's going to be an activity that I've decided to do with my kids, or whatever it is. So that's gratitude. That's how you practice it, and it's never been more important than right now. If you want to feel happier.
I just can't. I can't say how much it's been helpful for me, because it seems, if you've never done this sort of thing before, it can, and I know how you feel. It can seem like, well, what good is that going to do? Like it's just writing a few things down. From my experience, it's so helpful.
Yep.
So helpful.
Yep. So the second thing we talk about is empathy, gratitude, empathy. And I can't help but feel like I really think this is the most important one right now, as far as, so empathy is when you feel what someone else feels.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason this is important is the more empathetic you are, the more likely you are to act in a kind way.
Mm-hmm.
And the neuroscience, the brain science behind kindness is extraordinary. It's life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
It says if you do something nice for someone else, your brain releases a hormone called oxytocin, and oxytocin is what makes us feel really happy.
Yeah.
Now, it's the hormone that makes us feel emotions like love, joy, all that kind of stuff, connection. I was doing this talk the other day in Sydney for a group of brain surgeons, or neurosurgeons, literally brain surgeons, which is a very intimidating audience.
Yeah.
Also not the best audience, but one of them put his hand up and he said, because I talked about oxytocin for 10 minutes, and he said, if you want to understand why this is so powerful, this kindness thing, it's because we could tell you what happens to the brain is there's this thing called oxytocin. I was thinking, I just told you that, but you go on.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said, but the great thing is with empathy and kindness is your brain doesn't discriminate. I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, your brain doesn't say, oh, you've done something kind for someone, but I can't give you oxytocin because you're in the middle of a global pandemic. He said, if you do something nice for someone else, your brain releases this hormone called oxytocin, no matter what. He said, he didn't use the example of a global pandemic because it was a while ago, but
would have been an incredible prediction.
It would have been really frightening.
Yeah, he would have got a promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Night, everyone. Good night. Have a good weekend. Oh, by the way, global pandemic, probably a few months away. Let's start preparing. Okay, cool. Thank you. See you on Monday.
So empathy really, his point is we always have access to joy. And the most incredible thing is it comes through doing things for other people, not outrageously big acts of kindness, small things. It's things like holding the door open for someone, shouting someone a coffee, giving someone a compliment. Little things releases oxytocin. That makes us feel happy. Now, we're a bit limited in what we can do because we're not physically around other people all the time. But still, to put it in perspective, like we now with the internet and now with our devices, we still have the ability to be kind to people. Yeah. It might be online or whatever it is, but
I mean, that what you're just saying, like, being kind to people really kind of, is that kind of like the practical upshot of what we keep seeing everywhere, which is we're all in this together. So the general feeling that hope and that good message that is kind of going around at the moment, this sort of, like you said before, the feeling of like unity and how it's bringing people closer together. The practical way to get to that is acts of kindness.
Totally. And yeah, we might need to be a bit more creative at the moment, but I think if you're going to have a notepad where you write down 3 things that went well for you and then something you're looking forward to the next day, I would add to that maybe 3 names, and they're 3 people that you're going to do something kind for. It could be calling them or FaceTiming them and just saying, hey, really miss you, and didn't realize how much I care about you till I can't see you, that kind of thing. Or maybe it's writing someone, maybe it's ordering a present online for someone that you know who's doing it really tough. Or it's calling someone and saying, is there anything I can do for you? I mean, if you just have a think, I did this a couple of nights ago. I lay in bed and I was thinking about the people I know in my life who have been severely affected by it. And then my next thought was, well, what can I do? And that already got me a little bit sort of excited to think, well, I can be there for these people somehow. So I would add 3 names to your checklist of things to do, 3 names, and what are you going to do for them? And you're not, I mean, it's going to make them very happy, but the neuroscience says is it's going to help you as well.
Yeah. And now it feels like a lot of work every night. But oh, hang on, what are you talking about? So hang on, what 3? Oh, Jesus, man, I'm not made of time. So it's what 3 things we've got to do. I'm happy for 3 bloody blokes that I've got to do. It's too much.
Well, you can do as much or as little as you want, but
you can rotate those things.
You could, yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, if you've got plenty of time, which a lot of us do them all. But if you want to just do 3 things you're grateful for one night, and then or 3 things that went well for you, then maybe kindness the other day. But
it really is. I'm out of character now. It really is an awesome thing to do, which is so simple, but can have a huge impact.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
And the third one is mindfulness. And I'm going to do this very quickly because I've never claimed to be a world expert in mindfulness. I just know how much better I feel about myself and my life and my experience of the world when I practice mindfulness.
So mindfulness to me, when I first sort of like met you and started reading, and I thought, well, mindfulness has to be something where you meditate for half an hour in complete silence, cross-legged or something. But since then I've realized that there's many ways you can do it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So the way I do it, the way I have been doing it, the way I did it this morning is I walk a lap of the block and all I do is think about what I can hear. That's it. And what happens is my brain will always say, my brain takes me somewhere else. So today I was doing a radio thing.
So you're just walking around like, Benji.
No, what can I
Benji's there again. That's Benji.
I make sure I go by myself.
Okay, yep.
I can hear birds, I can hear the trees, I can hear a train, I can hear cars, and then my brain says, so I wonder how serious this shutdown is. Like, when it's in shutdown, can I do this next week if we go into shutdown? And I go, no, not what's happening next week. What is happening right now? I can hear my footsteps. I can hear the wind in the trees. I can hear some kids. And then my brain says, now what time are Ryan and Josh coming over? I've got to make sure the closet looks clean by the time they get. And I go, no, what's happening now? So every time my brain disappears and goes somewhere else and I bring it back, that's practicing mindfulness because you're being present. So that's a nice, easy way to do it. Walk a lap of your block. But I do think we've got a bit more time on our hands now. I'd be, I plan to, I've done a couple so far and I love them as a new app. There's plenty of great apps out there for meditation. Well, ours is out there as well.
The Resilience Project app.
Yep. But I love, the one I'm really excited about at the moment is Waking Up with Sam. It's Sam Harris's podcast, his podcast, his app, his meditation app. It's like a course, so you get educated in it while you're going.
Yeah.
And he's the smartest man in the world, so it has to be good.
Yes, it has to be.
But I've done 2 so far. I love both of them. And it's like it's not only educational, but you're also experiencing, you get a daily meditation. This is a good time this is the best time to do work on yourself right now. We should be at home most of the day. You can find, I think it's 8-minute meditations for Sam Harris's podcast, for his app.
Yeah.
His podcast is a lot longer than that,
yes.
Often 2 hours. The other apps that I'd recommend would be, I love Calm, I love Headspace, I love Buddhify, and I love our own app. If you don't like the sound of my voice, do not get our app.
So in your app, do you run the meditation?
Well, there's 2. There's a girl called Yessie who does, she does the female version, and I originally didn't do the male version, but people were saying, why isn't you should do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a terrible,
what do you say? What are you doing it?
My meditations?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say, it depends which script I'm reading from. But there's like 15, 20 different meditations on there, from kids' age to 3 all the way up to adults. But
okay, I'm going to have to try your meditation.
People who know me said they cannot stand doing it that way.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm lying in bed with them, just like whispering in their ear.
And why do you assume I don't want that? That's a huge assumption. I'll give it a go. May as well. What else am I going to do? Morning, Hugh. Close your eyes. Okay. Take a deep breath. Yep. Sounds great, actually. Well, yeah, I mean, with devices, they feel like they're great at the moment, obviously, because we're able to communicate, and like Telstra and Optus have been down in parts because people are calling each other probably more than ever. And it's like the phone calls back. And so they're great, the phones that we have on us all the time. But I know I'm just getting obsessive about checking the news, and then that leads to me checking Instagram, and that leads to me just like doing the rounds of all the apps on my phone. And next thing I know, I've like been on the phone for maybe half an hour, and I feel a lot worse than I did before I picked up the phone.
Totally.
They're just like these. I did a few years ago, actually, when I went through a phase of like, I'm looking at my phone too much. I did this thing, and you tell me whether this is a good idea or not, and I haven't done it since, but it could be a good thing to bring back, is I made a rule for myself. I wear a watch, like, so I don't have to look at my phone for the time. And I made a rule that I'm only allowed to look at my phone once an hour. So 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. When it hits that time, unless someone's messaged me or calls me, then I obviously pick up the phone. But if it's just to look at it for no reason, like just to check it for no reason, I'm only allowed to do it once an hour. And even though that seems like still a lot, it was amazing how much I caught myself going to look at my phone just out of instinct, a habit. And then I was looking at my phone and it's been like 5 minutes since I last looked.
Yeah.
And then you stop yourself.
Anything that you can do which is going to limit phone time right now is so important. So that's a great idea. You can come up with your own rules that work for you. But we all know, like, the most common emotion anyone experiences after 10 minutes or more on social media is regret. So the fear we've got right now about the unknown, put regret on top of that, it's just awful. And it's just bad news after bad news if you go scrolling through your news. So, and I'm not saying, hey, I've been great. So my phone time has gone through the roof the last week. Probably more than anything, Instagram. Like I say to myself, oh no, it's really good when I see like the Blessed One do a post, makes me laugh, feel good. But then I keep scrolling through crap and just keep scrolling. So I think Josh was just saying before we started this interview that he's going to do a day on, a day off his phone, basically, which I think is a really great idea.
Amazing.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to delete Instagram for 3 or 4 days at a time because I just we're spending blessing and a curse. Great to have the phones to reach out to people, but I think if you're going to reach out to someone to see how they're going, great thing to have. But if it's my phone's ringing, it is very good timing. But if it's just to check social media, we just have to be careful because it's not good for us. We use our phones to numb negative emotion right now. Like if we're feeling lonely, we grab our phone, and yes, it sort of takes away that loneliness feeling, but we don't replace it with something meaningful, like an actual proper social connection. If we're feeling bored, we grab our phone. We stop feeling bored, but we don't actually feel that feeling with something creative to kill the boredom. So
there's also a great app, and I'm sure there's a few of them, but the one that I've used in the past is called Freedom, which is an app where you put it on your phone, or you can do it on your computer as well, and it essentially you select which apps you want to block from yourself.
Wow. Okay. And Freedom.
It's called Freedom, and I think it's free, and you can you can essentially select like what times of the day you want to lock yourself out from your phone, and you can still select different apps. You can still have email and messages and stuff, but you can block out all social media for like 5 hours, like a predetermined 5 hours or 2 hours. Or
I'm doing that. I'll do that one. I'll do Freedom.
It's great.
Great. It is so important that we put as a race right now. It is so important that if you want to be good at something in life, you got to practice it, and your mental health is no different. It is no different. So if you want to feel happier, you want to have better mental health, you need to do these things because the research says they help you to feel happier. We can't roll over and let this thing just, kick our ass for the next however long. We need to actually Like, it's kind of like our time to step up. Like, our grandparents had to step up to go to war. And I remember, we asked questions like, what was it like when war was happening? Our grandkids will ask us questions. What was it like for, coronavirus?
Coronavirus, yeah.
And we'll be telling stories about it. And it's just our time to step up and to be as good as we can be, as good, as strong as we can be, so we all get through it. Like, I listened to the news and I felt pretty flat after it. Then I turned over the channel and it was my favourite football show, Footy Classified.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Craig Hutchison was talking, and the first thing he said was, hey, we'll get through this.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard.
One of our best known gurus.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot. Well, the last person I thought I was going to turn to, not the last person, that's unfair to him. He's someone I didn't expect to turn to for a bit of hope.
He'd be pretty low down the list. I mean, with all due respect to Hutchie, I don't think he'd be claiming to be up high on the list as the one that we're turning to. All right, everyone. The person that we've decided to turn to, Craig Hutchinson. Wow.
Well,
that's huge. Good for his brand. He'll be wrapped at that.
Well, I heard him say we're going to get through this, and automatically everything changed for me. And I thought, yeah, bloody oath we are. Like, and yeah, it's going to be really hard, but this is our time to step up. This is just our generational. This time, this is us. We need to step up, and one of the ways we do that is to look after ourselves.
Yeah.
So we need to start doing that, and hopefully there are some ways that we've just given. On top of gratitude, empathy, mindfulness, sleep, exercise, and diet is huge. I feel like
that's where a lot of the new research is pointing, isn't it? With
totally.
exercise and diet and sleep.
Yeah. So the impact these have on our mental health is huge as well. And I feel like the temptation at a time like this, no question, last week, my diet, I think I ate really well. My diet last week, shocking.
Well, it's sort
food.
of, it feels like we're being given an excuse to, we're being told to sit on our couch, essentially.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, it's sort of like, well, I'm not allowed to go out, so I can just sit here and eat Oreos.
Yeah.
Like, that's good. I'm allowed to. They're telling me to. In fact, it's a direct order.
From Hutchie.
Yeah, nah, sit on your couch, Oreos, good luck to you.
I actually ate a whole box of Cheezels the other night on the couch. I haven't done that since forever. So,
but that's all right, little treat.
Yeah, little treat. But then I followed up with a hot cross bun. So anyway.
Well, that's too far. Hot cross bun, mate. Come on, whole box of Cheezels, fine.
But that's what this kind of stuff does. We stop. I don't know. You look for like, oh, I love cheese. That'll make me feel better. It does in the long run. So diet's really important. So we know pretty much what consists of is good for us. So make sure you're looking after yourself with your diet at the moment. Spend time cooking. Cook with the people around you. I was cooking chicken schnitzel burgers last night, and I really enjoyed it with Penny and Benji, and it was fun. Like, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So that's not the healthiest meal to be cooking, but
could be worse. You could be eating a box of Cheezels, which we do not recommend.
So look after your diet, and it's really important. Sleep, really important as well. 7 to 9 hours for an adult for optimal mental health.
Okay, yeah.
So make sure you're doing that. This is a great time to really invest in your sleep, surely.
Yeah, it is. But it's true. Like, diet at the moment is it. I mean, I feel like I want to eat really well simply because I want my immunity, to be strong. Like, I want to feel healthy, and so if when flu season does come, just generally anyway, and now particularly. But this is a completely different reason. Like, eating well, it's got nothing to do really with coronavirus. It's just simply, if you eat better, this is what you're saying, the research says, if you eat better and you do a bit of exercise and you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, you will be higher on the mental health spectrum.
Totally. And exercise is, everyone knows that's really important for your mental health. I went from training like a madman for running to last week I did pretty much nothing because we were just trying to scramble together work stuff and family, and so I had to miss a couple of running sessions, and that absolutely had a huge impact on my mental health. And I went for a run the other night. It would have been after we got Elsie down, so probably about 9:30, 9:45 at night. go on runners on, and I put music on. That music's so good for your emotion, by the way. Music's huge. So I listened to music I love, went for a run, and I came back feeling like a totally different person. So find ways, if we get shut down and not allowed out or whatever it is. I think in the UK right now, you're allowed out to exercise by yourself once a day. So I'm guessing that's probably where we're going to go to. So try and do that because it is so good for you. So I suppose they're the extra things that I would recommend on top of it.
Awesome. So helpful, Hugh.
You know, just on the I'm just thinking from an example this morning that really was massive for me. When I woke up this morning, we've got quite a full day today of stuff, and I'm feeling quite bad about the fact that Penny's got Benji and Elsie to herself pretty much all day because her parents are now not coming over. That was the original plan. Penny's parents are coming over to help look after the kids, and all of a sudden they're not coming because they're sort of self-isolating. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, today's going to be so full on, and I was feeling a little bit stressed about everything, and then put the news on and turned it off very quickly because it was making me feel worse. And Penny was still upstairs. And so I thought, no, what's one of the things I can do right now? Empathy. And so I made her a cup of tea, made her breakfast, got Benji's breakfast ready, tried to unpack the dishwasher, all that. When I say, thank you.
Unreal.
Thank you. We'll finish there. Thanks, guys.
We should write a list of all the things you did today and post it, actually, just so everyone knows.
I'll try and get some photos of it as well, and we'll post them. No, but what my thing was, without trying, I should big note myself massively.
I shouldn't have torn you down.
Definitely cut that stuff out, Josh. Don't worry about it. I'll stop there.
So, I did the exact same thing for Soap this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Actually, I would have done that. Actually, I just forgot. Otherwise, I definitely would have.
But anyway, my point is, doing those things, I felt very different about my day and the world when I'd done 4 quick things, nice and easy, quick and simple things, but I felt better. I felt happier, and I was like, well, that's empathy. That's doing kind things for other people.
Awesome.
So if you guys could send me a medal or a trophy, that's however you want to do it, it's fine.
I'll see if I can make you one. I've got some
yes,
time.
please.
I want to make you a medal.
One of my best mates from school, who is a terrific person, his business is massively under threat now, and I had a long chat to him on the phone yesterday. He's at home with 3 kids under the age of 7. Wife working from home. He's working from home. He's trying to save his business. And so we had a long chat about things. And I said, oh, how's the relationship? Like, that's obviously been quite challenging as well. And he said, oh, I've just set myself the task of being the most caring, compassionate, loving, thoughtful and respectful partner I can possibly be for as long as this plays out. And he said, it's going to be really hard at some points, but that's my aim every day, is to be all those things. And he said, so far it's just been, a week into this working from home, having that approach, like he said, it's just been huge and so good for their relationship. So,
I mean, it's kind of like, in any sort of time of trauma or anything like, especially something like of this size, I feel like I'm always looking for the strong people. Like, who are the people who are going to make me feel a bit better now? If I can't get onto Hutchie, which is often, we talk about Hutchie. Hutchie's great. I don't want to badmouth the guy. But no, it's either Hutchie or it's my mum. My mum is very she's very good in these situations, very kind of like measured, pragmatic, and I think I've always turned to her or anyone like that in my life, and so it's almost like if you have the ability in any moment to be that person for someone, be the person who can be strong, caring, compassionate, empathetic, it's like, what an amazing thing that we can do.
Yeah, totally.
That is, and I'll get my list together of things that I've done for people for the next episode.
Put them in the show notes, or? Yeah,
I'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah, good idea.
Which is safe because nothing ever goes in the show notes. Well, Hugh, I mean, I'm so glad that you've done this. So I think a lot of people get a lot out of it, me included. So thanks a lot.
So very simply, 3 things went well for you during the day. What are you looking forward to most tomorrow? Do something kind for people. Try and do some meditation as well.
Brilliant.
If you could do those daily, you'll be in a much better place. We are. This is obviously just like a bit of a bonus episode, I suppose. We're doing another bonus episode with Penny, my wife, not because of the isolation thing. She's the only person we can interview, but we had actually planned to interview her because
it's a very special 12-hour episode.
A day in the life of Penny and Hugh. So Penny's journey through life, it is so relevant to what is happening right now. Penny has struggled with OCD anxiety since the age of 8. And this coronavirus is going to lead to OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety is going to go through the roof because of this. And so Penny's going to come on and talk about her experience and the things that she's done, which has really helped her, because adults, but also kids, and are going to be so heavily affected by this OCD thing. So our next bonus episode will be with my wife, Penny, who's going to share her struggles with OCD and the things she's done, which has helped her. I wouldn't say overcome it, I'd say manage it. But I don't want to steal her thunder, so we'll leave that to her for our next episode.
Brilliant.
Thanks for coming over and being so hygienic.
It's great to see you again.
Likewise.
Even from this distance,
Yeah.
you look great.
Likewise. It's like we may not see each other for a while, so
It's nice.
yeah, nice to see you. Thanks for everything, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Hugh, it's Ryan. Oh, thank you so much for that. That was awesome. I think I really needed to hear a lot of that stuff. So just wanted to call and say thanks. But also, I was just driving along and had a weird idea, and take it or leave it, but with your acronym, GEM, Gratitude, Empathy, Mindfulness, would you ever consider changing the M to something else? Like keep it as M, so it's like you didn't have to change any of your posters or anything like that, but I just wondered, like, instead of mindfulness, something a bit, I don't know, like a bit more fun or something. I was thinking magic, right? So to be gratitude, empathy, magic. Yeah, I don't know, I just sort of thought I'd give you a call and see what you think. To be honest, now that I say it out loud, it doesn't sound quite right. Yeah, it's probably not worth changing it to magic because it doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, I regret calling you now. And delete this message. Don't show it to Josh. He'll just put it at the end of the episode, which would be very embarrassing for me. It's Ryan as well, by the way. Okay, thanks you again. Bye-bye.
To call back, press 22. To replay message,
If this episode has triggered anything for you around mental health, we strongly recommend Lifeline on 131114. The Imperfects is brought to you by the Resilience Project. Produced by Ryan Shelton, Hugh and Josh Van Kylenberg. A very, very special thank you also to No Mono for generously allowing us to use Keep On as the theme song for this podcast.